Away, I'll never fade away.
You're in the mix with Conversations with Cupid Radio on InstinctRadio.net.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday, and welcome to Conversations with Cupid. We are so excited. I'm so excited to have everyone here in the studio today. For those of you who do not know, my name is Shay Primus, and I am a certified matchmaker and certified dating coach. And my matchmaking site is middleclassmatchmaker.com, and my dating site is middleclassmatch.com. Tonight, we're going to be talking to some sexy singles, and the topic is dating over 40. So I've invited some beautiful singles in the room today who are all over 40, and I'll have them introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with our conversation tonight. All right, so I'll start with you, Diane. If you can introduce yourself, you can tell us a little bit about you, what you want people to know, and if you don't mind sharing your age, then please share your age.
Okay, sounds good. Hi there, everybody. My name is Diane Shelton. I am the owner of Design 927 here in Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta for the last 4 years, and I just celebrated my 58th birthday.
Woo-hoo! Happy birthday. It was last week, right?
Last week.
Okay, she's a Libra. All right, Clifton.
Thank you. My name is Clifton Hall. I am half a hundred, as they say in Carolina, where I'm from, even 50. And about myself, wow, where do I stop? I'll just give it to you. Young, single, free.
Thank you, Clifton. Okay, Renee.
I'm Renee McDaniel. I'm 42, will be 43 the 19th of October.
Oh, Libra as well.
Libra. I am single, and I'm in specifications and sales, also a clinical mental health counseling student. Will graduate in 2018.
Oh, congratulations.
Licensed professional counselor. I'm really happy to be here and excited to hear everyone's perspectives.
Thank you for coming. Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim Smith. I'm 47. I'm a claims investigator for Norfolk Southern Rail, and I'm single as a dollar bill. And anything you want to know, you can ask.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, Art.
My name's Art Fuller. I'm 48, single father of 2, and been here in Atlanta for about 16 years. Been married once, and just really loving my time here and time with the group.
Thank you for coming, Art. Wanda.
Hi, I'm Wanda Fields, originally from Mississippi. I'm a program manager in the telecommunications industry. I have 2 daughters. I was married for 17 years, and now I'm enjoying being single.
Awesome. Okay, thank you all for coming. Now, you brought up a good point, so I want to know, have all of you been married? If you could just, so you've been married for 17 years?
Yes.
And how long have you been divorced?
10 years.
Okay, 10 years divorced. And you were married?
I was married.
How long were you married?
I was married 2 months. My wife had a car accident and she passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Art.
That was back in 1993.
I'm sorry. Okay. So you've been single since 93?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And Tim?
Yes, I've been married twice.
Okay.
I've been divorced for 4 years
Put
now.
his mic up for me, please.
Thank you, Renee. Yeah, I've been divorced for 4 years now. Like I said, I've been married twice. Both times, 5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
So have you ever had a relationship longer than 5 years?
Yes.
Okay, you have. So you
Yeah.
have gotten over it. I just want to
Yeah,
make sure
I can't-
5 years
I can't-
wasn't your...
I get that all the time. People say, is it 5 years your cutoff? No, I didn't plan it like that.
Okay.
It just happened that way.
Got it. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Renee, have you been married before?
Yes, was married for 10 years, divorced since 2006, so 10 years single, and only been married one time.
Got it. Okay. Clifton?
I have, let's see. No, I've been married. I'm twice divorced.
Okay.
And I am not ashamed to say both relationships were actually meant to be the way that they were for me. They helped to shape me. My first marriage, I got my beautiful kids out of that, which you kind of shared with the group earlier. And my second marriage, she decided she wanted to see someone else in the middle of it. No, because when you pray the Lord's Prayer, and not to get too religious, it says, deliver us from evil. and I had no idea it was going on. So when I prayed that prayer, I believed it, and he showed it, and I got
delivered
to live
you
it.
from evil.
Yeah, so they both count, but so twice married. But yeah, commitment is big, loyalty is big, integrity and character are huge for me.
Yes.
Because if I give it, I expect it.
Great, thank you. Diane,
Mm-hmm.
you've been married?
Yes, I have been married. I was married for 15 years, no children. Pretty much, I think the relationship ran its course. I think people change over time. And I think that I think most people need to realize that some things are not forever. You learn from them, you gather new things within your life, and you move on. So.
Great. And the reason I was asking that is because what I found is that most of the time, over 40, a lot of people in that over 40 population have been married before. And so because people tend to get married in their 20s, and by the time they're 40 something, they're divorced. And so I wanted to share, just see where you all were with that. Have you encountered that most people over 40 that you've tried to date have been married before? And if not, is there a difference between somebody who's never been married versus someone who's been married before? So who would like to take that? Wanda?
I will start, and I'll be brief.
Okay.
Marriage, I believe in marriage.
Yes.
Regardless of my past experiences, and I never played a blame game, right? Because I accepted. I said yes. So marriage is honorable. It's a beautiful thing. It's an institution, and it's a founding of what the fabric, to me, of our society and people that look like us should have. And when we get away from that, that's when you see a lot of the immorality going on. Okay. Not only as it goes progressively and perpetually, but systematically we fall out of what is the foundation of what should be right. Marriage is fundamentally what it is. It's not religion, it's not politics, it's not anything else. It's the fabric, and that's what holds things together. That's my perspective.
So, but my question is, have you encountered that most people over 40 have been married, most people that you've dated, have they been married before?
For the groups of people that I've dealt with a myriad of people, it's probably 50-50. Half of them are afraid of what they've seen their friends and family go through, and the other half that have experienced it either feel like they shun it and they don't want to deal with it anymore.
So
or
the people
others,
who have been married don't want to be married again?
No, it's 50-50 with that group.
Okay.
So marriage is beautiful. So I would look forward to that again. I don't shun it, nor do I condemn it.
Okay, good.
I think the percentages are actually a little higher. When you look at people who are over 40, I'd say about 70% have been married before. And what you're dealing with really are people that maybe had a high school sweetheart or a college sweetheart, got married, had children, started their career, and again, something changed. They changed individually or collectively or whatever the case may be. So now they're out, and actually a good friend of mine just recently told me she's back out into the dating field, and she's scared to death. She's absolutely scared to death.
Because she's been married so long.
She was married or in a relationship, and she's scared to death. And it's just a matter of what is she going to do now? Is she ready to get out into this dating pool that we have, because it is so different than it was 20 years ago.
Yes, and we're definitely going to talk about the differences between before you got married, what was dating like, versus now, what is dating like. But hold that thought. Oh, and let me ask you, Renee, so in your dating experiences, what has been the population of people that you've dated? Have they been married before or not?
The guys that I have dated in the past, I would say it's probably about 50-50. Some have been married and some have not. What I've noticed, and the ones that have not, they really seem to not really understand what commitment is, because it seems like they're almost worried about missing something if they do get married. And then to piggyback on what you said, a lot of them have seen what everyone else is going through when they're married. They get married and it changes and it doesn't last. They really don't have a lot of people that they can actually look back on and say, you are a good role model for a marriage.
Right.
So therefore they don't want to proceed.
Right.
And they're happy being single and
Well,
just continuing.
to your point, I mean, the divorce rate is 70%.
Right.
So even for me, people who have not been married, most of us know lots of people who've been divorced. So it doesn't look like it's shiny and bright and the right thing, so sometimes you kind of go, well, maybe I don't want to do that.
Right.
I can say that for me, having never been married, but I think marriage is a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful institution. I totally have a lot of respect for the institution of marriage. But we all know a lot of people who've been married and divorced. And so I think it can skew the outlook for people who've never been married just because of that, right? Okay, Tim, your dating experience?
Well, my experience is I think that everyone thinks that they're supposed to be married.
Ah.
And that is not the case. Just because you want to be married doesn't mean that you're supposed to be married. Some people, you can have a great relationship without that. But if you put that pressure on yourself that I have to be married because all my friends are married or whatever the case may be, then that's what their perception is. And then they go off on that thinking, okay, well, my girlfriend is married. She has a great relationship with her husband. I want that same thing. Well, you're not your girlfriend, and the dude is not her husband.
Exactly.
So you can't go on that same premise. Now, for me, I've met a lot of women that they want to get married like right away, and you don't know me. So
like, when do they bring this up? First date? Second date?
I've had conversations first week.
Oh, and how do they bring it up? That's interesting.
They're asked, well, what are you looking for? And I'm like, well, I'm not really looking for anything. I want something to happen naturally. Because when you go out looking for something, a lot of times you find what you don't want. Definitely what you don't need. So they're already in their mindset, well, I've been single for however long they've been single. Most of them are single for 3, 4, 5 years, some longer than that. So at that point, they're at the time where I'm ready to get married right away. So if they meet someone and they feel that he's a good guy, he can give them the things that they need, they want a commitment. If not verbally, they want to know something. Well, give me a time frame.
Of when do you want to get married?
Yeah.
We do tend to be strategic like that. I call it strategic. We tend to be strategic like that, but truthfully, it is good to know going in. If I know that I want marriage and you do not, it's good to know that, right? You don't want to waste time with somebody for years only for them to say, hey, I don't want to get married. You know what I mean?
But if I tell you, well, I'm open to getting married again, but it's definitely not going to be in the first 2 years. I'm just not going to tell you.
That's for a fact it's not going to be in the first 2 years.
I don't know you. I've been married twice, so I'm not going to make those mistakes I made.
So are you making her pay for?
No. These are things for me.
But just because those two relationships. In those two relationships, you got married prior to 2 years and it didn't work. That doesn't mean that it takes more than 2 years.
No, it's not. It's not about my past relationships because those are different women.
Okay.
Than the person that I will be dating at a particular juncture. But I want to be able to get to know this person. Now it doesn't mean that it can't happen within that 2 years or in 2 years. But I don't want you to have that premise that
it's going to.
August 12th, 2017, hey, it's going down.
Okay.
Because then you may be disappointed. Because things happen along the way.
Right.
And I want to make sure that this person I'm going to be married is going to be the last time I'm going to do it.
You don't want to keep doing it. I can understand that.
I'm not that person that third time the charm, fourth time, whatever. No. Because growing up, I always said I was never going to get married.
Oh, I mean.
So, and then I ended up being married twice.
Got it.
Okay. So y'all are saying the same thing. What I'm hearing, though.
Give him a mic, please.
Typically, it's been my experience that women come in, even from grade school, they know what they want. They have a vision of what they want. And for males, a lot of times, it typically takes a little while to develop. They call it, in high school, you may be focused on sports. For instance, I only had one girlfriend in high school, but I wasn't the most attractive dude either. And then all of a sudden, I started getting attention my senior year, but I didn't know how to deal with a woman, with a girl, a female like that. So, I didn't even know I was being looked at. By the time I got to college, mindset changed and that kind of thing. But women, by the time we get to college, they already knew what they wanted. They want to graduate from college. They're going to get a job. They're going to have a husband. They're going to have a, white picket fence and a dog. Dudes is like, man, I don't know where I'm going to work. I might want to do this. Typically, I'm not saying everyone does that, but for me, like I got into my profession my junior year in college. The last thing on my mind was trying to, be married. Like you, I felt like that. But when I date someone or I meet someone that I know I'm interested in, and I've gotten the same thing you got in 2 weeks, 3 months, 3 times in 3 months, 6 months, a year. And then the frustration sets in for the female because she's like, well, we're not on the same page. Or if it's 2 years, how long do I have to wait? And so you've had that compromise, that you've had that mindset as a female. Typically, it's my experience. That's all I can speak on. Because and I'm not saying all of them.
Let's hear what you have to say, and then when you finish, I'm going to go to. We have a lot of comments here on Facebook, so I'm going to read some of our friends' comments. But go ahead.
Okay, so when I came out of high school, college, I didn't want the husband. I wasn't looking for it ever, and I'm not really looking for it now. So if I meet a guy that says he wants to get married or all that really quick, it scares me away. So I've been married before, and I would like to get married again, but please don't approach me with marriage and like, oh, so I want to get married. I'm like, oh, wow, so I'm not the girl for you.
That's what you would pull back.
I would pull back because I'm not interested in getting married right away. I've been married for 17 years.
But that doesn't mean you're not interested in a relationship.
Oh, definitely not.
So he could say, I want to be exclusive right away, you'd be okay.
I'm right
but
there.
You're not ready to walk down the aisle and say, I do. That's what you're saying. Because a lot of times when people hear that, I'm not ready to get married right away, they'll say, oh, she's non-committal, or because both of you kind of sounded like that a little bit. So I just want to clarify, it doesn't mean that you're not ready to have a relationship.
Right.
Okay.
I am ready to have a relationship, and I will get married again. But I think a lot of gentlemen think that women want to hear that right away. And for me, when I hear it, you scare me away. So I fall back. I don't talk as much.
I will say, when a man is ready to get married, he gets married. I promise you, when I've heard a man say, I'm ready to get married, you can look up and see, because he's going to find a woman easily when he says, I'm ready to get married, who will say, sign me up. Because we are out there, right? There are women who are ready, dressed ready, tell me the date. I'm going to tell you the date. You propose, I'm showing up, I'm ready to go. There are a lot of women who are just ready. Just ask, I'm ready. So, right, exactly. So what I mean is, if he is ready, he just has to find the right woman who he can say, I'm ready to get married, and she'll say, okay, let's plan it. Let's go. Okay, Art, your experience?
Well, my experience, I've been here, like I said, 16 years. Most of the women that I've dated since I've been here never been married.
Really?
Yeah.
But you tend to date younger women.
I've dated younger and older.
Okay.
Well, one older. How old are you?
He tends to date women around my age, I think.
Well, I guess it was just recently that I discovered that women around your age were actually interested in somebody my age.
Yeah.
Because, it's just something that I think I underestimated the knowledge and the maturity of a lot of women in their
mid-30s.
Yeah, and so I just kind of opened my eyes to a world that I never knew.
It has, and we'll talk about it, but it actually has pros and cons. You date a woman mid-30s, we tend to want children. Yeah. So the problem is, and I say 10 because, of course, there are always, before y'all jump on me, there are always exceptions. There are women who had children early and they're done, right? But most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, women in their mid-30s, they still want a child. And if you're over 40, late 40s, early 50s, you might not want one. So that can cause a problem when you try to date somebody younger, because they're going to want a kid and you might not. But there are always exceptions. I know men who are 50-something and they have never had children and they want a child. And so for them, they can't date you because you're not going to have a child for them. You're not, so they have to date a younger woman. So I think it just depends. And also, I'd say this to women. I have a lot of clients who are 40s, early 40s. Let's say they're 40, 41, never had children. They want children. They're not going to date an older man. Typically, they need to date a younger man who's never had a child, who would be more open and receptive. A lot of older men don't want children. They just don't. They're done. Like, you have grown children. A lot of men with grown children, are you open to having children?
If it's not my call.
Okay.
If I meet the right, it's not my call. If I meet the woman that I want to, settle with, and she wants to settle with me, I think there has to be some compromise, especially with the factors that you mentioned about age. It's not her fault I'm older than her. It's not my fault she's younger than me.
Right.
But, it's my understanding that I'm not going to deny someone that I fall in love with what they want. That's
so
not
beautiful,
fair.
Clifton.
But-
That's
But
sweet.
life it's more simple than we are. I have a friend that but I won't call his name.
Please don't.
Who had, he's when he was 50, his wife had twins,
Wow.
but they're healthy and they're 4 years old now.
Yeah.
He married a younger woman. So it can be done, but what we always look at, oh my God, I'm gonna be 70, but 70 is not. That's a beautiful. But look, what's wrong with 70?
70
Man, that's
is-
a blessing.
Today, 70 looks different than it
It's
did when we were little girls,
exactly.
little kids. 70 was an old person, right?
Yep.
But I look at my parents. My mom is 65. She's not old, so it changes. It looks different, So I think, yeah, but I don't think that should be the ideal. Do you think that's like ideal? I don't think that's ideal.
It just depends on who they are. Some people are career driven, right? And it's not for me to factor what their life has been, but what ours could be.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to read some comments from, I can't really see. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. So I'm not texting. I'm scrolling through our comments on Facebook. All right. So we have some people who have been listening in. Okay. A lot of men are chiming in to say they have never been married, ladies, and they are over 40, and they want you to know they are over 40 and never been married. That would be Mr. Gary Boyce has never been married. Shaka Cox says that it's definitely a challenge dating over 40, but Shaka's in a relationship, so he says he's a very blessed man. Errol Hart has never been married. Gary Boyce wants you to know he's 44 and he thinks dating sucks. But I can help you with that, Gary. All right, so we have some ladies who've also chimed in. Kiva, she says she has been married. Amy Zogby said she has never been married and she's over 40. Adrian just turned 40 in May and he said he's never been married. Angela Davis says it's great to hear people talk positively about marriage instead of all the negativity. I agree. Okay, Michael Chambers says, there's not many in this day and time that believe in loyalty and commitment. They practice divorce by dating. Oh, that's deep. They practice divorce by dating and then separate it to be with someone else and then repeat. So when they do marry, they revert back to what they're used to. I think that's a good point, Michael, because you can practice divorce, right? If you date a lot, if you're a serial monogamer, I used to be one. Every week you're in a new relationship, or every month, every 2 months you're in a new relationship. You are practicing for a divorce because it's easy to walk away. It's easy to end a relationship. So when I'm in this relationship, after I said I do, you do something I don't like, it's easy for me to leave.
Practice
So
makes permanent.
I do think that's a very good point. I like that, Michael.
Practice makes permanent.
Okay, Nikki Nickerson says, I'm 42 and divorced. I would very much like to be married again. Being married was awesome. Yeah. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I love to see married couples. They've been together 50 years, 60. I love it. It's a beautiful thing. All right. So Chantel said, I'm knocking on 40 and I'm looking forward to the institution of marriage. All right. I don't know what y'all talking about, sipping on something and pouring something. I don't know what you talking about. I'm going to keep scrolling. What they talking about? David Evans says, I'm 44 and I'm a divorced father. And while I desire to marry again, I will be content staying in my season of singleness. Okay. Christopher Edwards says, the question is, do you want the marriage or do you want the title? And for some people, the title is what they want because they want the ring on their finger. They want to say, my husband. I know women that's the goal.
That was my first wife.
Your first wife was like that?
Yeah.
I know men like that too. They want to be married. There are some people that are just so infatuated with the institution or with the, idea, more so sometimes than the person. That can happen. All right. Lamar said, can you really put a time frame on it? Yes, I wouldn't rush into anything. Kiva thinks that Caucasian people don't have these issues and they're not second guessing relationships. I don't know, because the divorce rate is 70% across the board. And they can have multiple marriages. I know lots of them with multiple marriages, so I don't know.
Right.
I don't know, but chime in and tell me what you're thinking. All right. So I'm just reading through some of what you're saying. Kiva says, love is love, and if you're in a long-term relationship, then why is marriage so scary? That's a good point. And we're talking about, people are talking about extended engagements. Okay, so I'm just reading through some of what you're saying. Thank you, Devarius, my soror in Florida. She says she's so happy for me. I appreciate your support. Ayana said, in reality, we don't know what Caucasian people go through. All we know is what we see. I think that's a very valid point. Yvette says, marriage is beautiful. Although divorced, I am surrounded by positive images of marriage. I know that men say women rush, but I think a lot of that has to do with her age. I'm in no rush because I'm standing alone in my peace. They may not be content with being alone, which is why so many rush in only to find out it was not a good match. Wendy says, I'm one of those who will lose immediate interest if he starts talking about marriage. I dated one and it seems contrived to me. Just to your point, Wanda. Kiki says to you, Arthur, that 19 is too young, but I don't think you don't go that low.
No, my children are in their 20s.
Early 20s, yeah.
So no.
What is your the youngest you would date?
Probably around your age.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the youngest.
Yeah, and it's
So
maturity.
You would do 35 though, right?
I'm 48.
So 10 years younger.
10 years.
Okay, that's I don't think that's a big deal. But are you open to having children?
I am. I wasn't before. My son had a car accident 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And so when he was getting ready to get out of the house, it wasn't something I was even.
Because you were going to be done with Mm-hmm.
But now that things have changed and he's in a different place.
He's disabled now.
Right. He's still able to do a lot of things independently. But I think if I'm in a relationship with someone and she didn't have a child, then it's the right thing for me to do to provide
That's
her the
sweet.
opportunity to have
Because that's the caveat. When you date somebody mid-30s to late 30s, they may want a baby. I know I do.
I'm
go back
okay
and
with
forth.
that.
I don't know what I want.
I'm okay with
I
that.
go back and forth. You're okay either way. He don't want any more. But I don't talk about him on the show because I'll get in trouble. And y'all not going to mess up my home.
Oh, no. I'm done with it, matter of fact.
Okay. Sonia Burke said, I was married over 20 years, married really young, definitely not interested in getting married right away. I'm at peace with being single. I like exclusivity and dating exclusively, but living separately and having my own privacy. No pressure from me. I don't want any from them. That's good. I don't know. Everybody's different though, right? So you find me personally, I like living together. How do you all feel about living together? You don't like it.
I don't like it.
Well, I've been there. I've done both. So it's, in my opinion, I think that not running into marriage, I would like to get married again. However, there must be commitment. So if you want to date, you want to hang out, let me know what's up right out the gate, so we don't have any misunderstandings. But don't tell me, oh yes, I'd like to be in a committed relationship, and then you're running out dating every time they can have.
Oh, that happens too.
Okay.
But I don't think that has anything to do with age. I think that's just
and that's very true.
some
I
people are
don't
just
think
playing
really
games.
age has anything to do with it. I think the mindset of the individuals coming into the relationship is most important.
Absolutely.
And truth within that relationship, whether it's starting, whether you've had that relationship for a couple of months and now you're starting to say, okay, well, where are we going to go from here? Having those kinds of conversations, and that seems to be the toughest part. People can't talk. They just cannot talk to one another. So,
and a lot of people won't be honest, because if I tell you the truth, I want to lock you down and I don't want you dating anybody else, but I still want to go out with Wanda tomorrow and I want to go out with Renee on Saturday, you would say no. So I'm not going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you, yes, it's just me. I'm not being negative on men, but I'm telling you, this happens. This happens every day.
It does happen every day. And I think, on the other side of it, and going back to what you said earlier, in terms of how women are acclimated into society, our mothers, grandmothers, and their aunts, all of them are telling us, as soon as we can understand English, you're going to get married.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is
We're
the
groomed
first.
to
That's
get
right.
married.
We are groomed right out of the crib.
But we're also groomed not to shag. So
That-
I do not like living
They know where you're
together.
from.
Well, so from the Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
Straight sip. So I'll give you a key to the place. I'll take your key. You can come and go as you want. You can spend the night 5 nights a week if you like.
But you got to go home one day.
But you got to go home. And you got to go home.
Right.
I wasn't groomed. I wasn't groomed either way.
Yeah.
Now I grew up in a 2-parent household. My parents were married. No one ever said anything to me about that one way or the other. But for me, after we've been dating a long time and we're exclusive and we're committed, to me the next logical step is let's move in together. Because I did experience divorce as a child, I feel like I need to know how are we going to be day in and day out, because I will not commit to you and not know, and then I'm scared because I don't want to get divorced. Right. So for me, the next logical step after being committed is let's live together and let's see how we do under the same roof. Because it's very easy to be one way. I can be one way when you're spending the night tonight, but you don't know how I live day in and day out. Am I clean? Do I cook? Do I am I showering every day? People switch up on you. I'm just telling you the truth.
They still make them?
Yes, there are a lot of people like that.
I have a question, and
Yes.
it's towards what you just said, because the sister Wanda said it earlier. She said fear. Why is there fear? Like, women will boldly tell men, "Oh, you're afraid. You're afraid of love. I've been told this a lot. You're afraid of love." No, I know what I want. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, I'm not getting ready to say it's you that I don't want, but don't tell me what I want or what I don't want. And I think the question is, why are women afraid? And the second part of that is,
what are women afraid of? Answer that.
That's what I'm saying. You said I'm afraid. You just said, I'm quoting
of
you.
Marriage, like if I'm dating you 6 months and you propose, I want to live with you. This is just Shay. This is what I want.
Absolutely, that's fine.
I don't want to marry somebody, and I've been engaged 3 times. I didn't live with any of those guys. I think that's a big that's one of the reasons why I couldn't go through with it. I need to know. I don't want to get divorced. So for me, I need to know that we can do this. Can we get through problems, ups and downs, heartache, hardships? Are we going to be? I need to know, can we stand the rain? And I don't want to take a test drive and say I do only to get divorced.
Nice
I don't want to do
segue.
that.
Nice segue into, because I think you're going to answer the point of my question. Because she said communication. Now, on the post, I end up typically going right back to that. So if you've talked to this person, let's assume that you've been intimate in some way, not even necessarily in bed, but you have shared intimate thoughts, conversations. What are you talking about? If you've gotten that far down the road in 2 years, let's say, take that timetable, the 2-year timetable, and you don't know by then if this woman can cook or this man doesn't clean after himself, what are you doing with your time when y'all are together? And that's the biggest thing.
All of y'all have been married before, so let's be real. Divorce is real. It's a 70% divorce rate. So let's be real here.
What did I miss about what I'm asking?
What you're saying? None of y'all got married thinking it was going to end. Nobody knew it was going to end both times.
No, the first one.
Okay, well, most people don't marry somebody saying we're going to end. I'm answering your question.
Okay.
People don't get married with the intent to divorce. You don't know that's going to happen. You're hoping it's going to be forever. Well, I believe when people are saying those vows, they really mean it.
Absolutely.
But then something happens.
And that's just it. And that's the point that I brought up earlier. People do change. No one ever discusses that people are going to change. All of a sudden, okay, I want to move to the other side of the country because you know what? I'm thinking about this new job opportunity. Well, I don't want to leave my family. My family's living here. I don't want to, uproot the kids out of school. You know what? I think I'm going to buy a red sports car because I'm having a midlife crisis.
It happens every day.
Okay, so and I'm being kind of smug about it, but people do change. And if you're in that relationship, then it is your responsibility on both sides of the fence to sit down and have that conversation. That really hard conversation. Not the fluff like, what kind of sheets are we going to buy or where we eating out tonight. This is the kind of stuff, conversations that need to happen.
Absolutely.
In terms of, okay, you want to move to the other side of the country. Did you did you think about what's happening with us? What are we going to lose in this? What are we going to gain in this? So those sorts of conversations should happen. Most times they do not.
And another thing that people change on, some people wake up one day and decide, I don't want to be married to you anymore.
Exactly.
I want somebody new. I'm going
Right.
to trade you in
Yes.
for a newer model. That happens
Yes.
every day.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
In that case, they knew that going in.
I don't know. This could happen after 20. I've heard people 20 years of marriage, and all of a sudden he said, I don't want to be married to you anymore.
Or
And
her.
so- or her.
In my
In your situation.
But he knew that before the 20th.
You
year.
think so?
I know so.
You mean
Yeah.
do you know that
Yeah.
year one, or you're saying he knew that just last
It
year?
could be year 3, but if you have kids, a lot of people stay together for kids.
Exactly.
I've had especially when I was in the military, a lot of people stayed together because they had kids, and they were not going to divorce or leave each other until the kids were old enough to get out of the nest.
That's true.
Right.
Because I used to always ask people, how you been married 30 years, and then you get a divorce? And then they would say, I didn't even like him for the last 25 years.
We slept in 2 different rooms.
Exactly. And people never knew that.
That's
It happens every day.
Absolutely.
Every day it happens.
Yeah. I mean, even growing up,
But it happens.
Yeah.
You will never know. Your favorite couple in church sit together in church
Yep.
and leave out and go home, and he goes to the guest room and she goes to the bedroom. That happens every day.
How many people
Okay, I'm
know?
just saying.
How many
We can
people?
go the opposite way. She could be in the guest room and he could be in the main.
How
but it
many
happens.
people know of a couple that stayed together because they didn't want their family to know, or their friends,
Yeah.
that they were not
It happens
getting
too.
along?
That happens
Another,
too.
another reason.
People stay
Something
together
like that.
and they're not happy, and you don't know. People don't walk around saying I'm not happy, right? And they still post pictures, family pictures, Christmas pictures. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. Now, I'm not saying that every marriage is bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you won't know.
Yeah, my first marriage, nobody knew. They
Right.
thought we were the perfect couple. But,
It wasn't like that.
no.
Renee,
So in my experience, me and my husband, my ex-husband, before we got married, we did live together. Of course, we did things out of order. We were engaged, we had kids, we had one child, then we got married.
you were engaged,
But-
then you had a child, then you got married.
So what I realized, we got married young. We were high school sweethearts.
Oh,
And we didn't know each other. We didn't know ourselves. We didn't know each other. I didn't really know him. He didn't really know me.
how young were you?
I was 21 when I got married.
Okay, yeah. You haven't lived life.
No.
Right.
Neither one of us had. So there was this gap in communication, and you think that you know someone and you don't really know someone. Then he was a truck driver, so we didn't really spend time together to even get to know each other, to even get to really have good conversations about what we both want together as our family. And what happens is, when there is that gap in that communication, and then you've got one doing their own thing and the other's doing, now, mind you, we were still married, but he was a truck driver. I'm at home with the kids. So he's growing apart, I'm growing apart, and he's not happy. I'm thinking everything's hunky-dory, but in reality it's not, and it's because of that whole gap.
So when he became unhappy, you couldn't tell?
I didn't know. I didn't know that he was unhappy. Now, I did know there was something wrong and something going on in our marriage, and found out, he was a truck driver. So what you hear about truck drivers is true.
They sleep with people on the road.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
that's
Not to say that all truck drivers are that way, but we've all heard that.
Yeah. So I'm definitely open.
I know
to
of some.
shacking. Yes, I'm open to shacking. I want to. Sometimes people will give you their representative. Me, myself personally, I'm always my true self. Like, I don't have a representative.
I don't think I do either. But I will say, but even if I feel like I don't have one, I will say that living with a person is totally different than just we're meeting on Friday for dinner, we're going to go to the movies on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing.
Yes.
When you're waking up, going to sleep, waking up, you see them when they're sick, you see them when they're mean, whatever. You see all sides of them. All of that.
And especially
When I'm waking up and I look crazy,
Exactly.
I think it's good to see.
On a Saturday and a Sunday?
All day.
But let me get to some other questions, because this topic really isn't about divorce or whatever. But I want to ask: is a desire or lack of desire for children a deal breaker for you at this point? You're over 40. You meet somebody, you like them. They say they want a child, or they say they don't want a child. Which would be a deal breaker, or is it a deal breaker for you?
For me, it used to be a deal breaker.
You're 42.
I'm 40. Yeah, I'll be 43 in a little over
Next
a week.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a deal breaker for me. I was like, I really don't want any more children. Now, I really don't, but as I've gotten older and I see there's more guys out there that do, I am open to it. My oldest child is 22.
So you can have a grandchild and a child at the same time.
Yeah, I have 2 children, 18 and 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if it won't be a deal breaker. If the guy meets someone, we fall in love, we get married, and we have had that discussion even prior to we get to that point of marriage. And if it happens, it happens. But I really prefer not to.
But you would be open. It's not a deal breaker.
It's not a deal breaker.
Tim looks like you were gonna say.
It's broke.
Do you have children?
I have a daughter who's 21.
You have a grown daughter.
Yeah, she'll be 22 in December, so.
You're done.
Yeah,
So if she says she wants a child,
I'm really not trying to get that far with you.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest up front. If you say you want to have a child, you could be great. I'm just.
No.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't.
Now, the artist already
see
told us
that.
he is open. Considering his situation, he's open. Wanda?
Well, my daughter, 21, just moved out. I do not want to have any more kids. I can. I will say I met a great guy in the group who he wants to have kids, and I was like, oh, you're such a beautiful spirit. I think that spirit needs to be passed on. But I can't pass it on with you. So
Did you say it like that?
I mean, we talk. He helps me out. I didn't say it quite that way, but he gets it.
No. He gets it now.
Right. And he is listening.
Sorry, homie.
He is absolutely listening.
My bad, bro.
He knows who he is. We talk almost every day.
Okay.
So we're cool. We share stories. He helps me out because I'm really new to the dating world. I've only had 2 relationships since my ex-husband.
In 10 years?
But I like long-term relationships.
When's your birthday?
August. Leo.
Okay.
Straight Leo.
Okay.
So,
and you like long-term relationships?
I like long-term relationships, and I like a lot of attention from one dude.
Leos like a lot of attention.
Yes,
Period.
lots. But lots. All of that. But I don't particularly like lots of attention from a lot of men. It makes me shy because of, guys tend to, I guess this isn't part of the show, but depending on how your makeup is, guys.
Because she is fine. If y'all don't know, Wanda is got it going on. So.
Yes, she is.
I second that.
Guys.
Okay, I'm blushing. Okay, blushing for real.
Got a lot of attention. Right.
That's what you want. You want a lot of attention. You called it from the universe.
One guy. Which one? One guy, though. So, but, okay. I can't believe
You see, guys, this is your chance.
Blush. Like, I can't say.
You said a dark-skinned girl blush. She's blushing.
Yeah, she is.
And hot.
Okay, a man walks up to you and he says, I want to have another child. How would you respond?
My first husband and I, we did not have children, and that was never in my makeup. And the interesting thing about that is when a woman says she doesn't want to have children, well, I can only tell you some of the responses that you get. Oh, you're selfish. What's wrong with you? Well, you know what? I decided me personally, and I can only speak for myself, I decided a long time ago that I wanted to be a professional. I wanted to go out there and do everything I could. And I've had a lot of really incredible experiences that, honestly, I know a lot of my girlfriends who have children, have not had. That was my decision. My ex-husband, we both agreed we were not having children, and we didn't. Didn't mean that our marriage lasted or that was the reason why it broke up, but we came, we were on the same page with that. So if a gentleman comes to me and we're in this relationship, and again, I would think that we would have these conversations right out the gate, so that there was no misconceptions on his part. I would tell him, I'm sorry, children are not for me. If you have children, that's great. I've dated men who have children, again, older children, wonderful. But now I think it's time for us. Let's travel, let's see the world, let's progress in our professions, do other things.
That is a perk when people are over 40. Like, all of you have grown children. So that is a perk. Like, you can just focus on the two people in the relationship and travel. And that is a perk.
Yeah, it feels great.
I will take a guy with kids.
I
will date a
Young
guy.
kids?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't know about that.
Like, what age? You say young. What is young?
Well, he
Yeah.
Like,
he
yeah,
can't
3,
be a
4.
newborn. I really don't want to help with the
said
potty
3 or 4.
training. I mean, I will because I love kids. But you see my face. I will, but I don't want to.
Right.
But depending on the guy, if I fall in love with him, look, I'll do whatever he needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would prefer not a newborn or in the 2-year-old. Got to be out of diapers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another question I was going to ask, because we talked about, you already answered that you would be open to having children, and you, Clifton, would be open to having children for the right one. Okay. So, little kids, if she has a little kid, how do you feel about it?
Depends on how little.
2. Yeah, 2.
I guess it depends on the relationship with the father. If there's a lot of drama and stuff going on, I don't know that I want to get involved.
But that happens with 12-year-olds.
Yeah, drama can happen with grown children. I mean, it ain't always happen.
Yeah, but it's a longer period of time. You're talking about from 2 to 18 instead of 15 to 18.
So you would just want to evaluate the relationship with the dad.
Definitely.
She has a 2-year-old. Are you open to dating her? He's just staring at me. He just, okay. No for Tim. Okay.
His face does.
Right. Yeah. Renee, he has a 2-year-old. How do you feel about it?
He has a 2-year-old. I'm like you. I want to evaluate that relationship.
With the mom.
Yeah, because it's just the single moms, some of the single moms, not all of them, not generalizing, but some of them are really clingy and they're still holding on to that man and they're using that child to continue
pawn.
to be attached to that
It happens. And it happens on both sides.
It does
People
happen
always
on
jump
both
on me.
sides.
Men do it too. Yes, they
Yes,
do.
it is.
They do.
It is.
And
It's
some of
definitely
them
on
think they
both
can
sides.
still have access to them
Right.
because we've been together before, so I should be able to still have access to them and call you in the middle of the night and say Johnny
Yes.
needs some shoes or
Right,
Sarah needs some
right.
diapers. No.
Right. I would definitely want to evaluate it.
Put in my due because my first wife, she had 4 kids.
Your first wife had 4 children, so you feel like you've done the stepdad thing. And
Yeah, my second wife had 3 kids.
Oh, so you've done it.
So, I've done the,
I just feel like women are paying for these other
No,
women's
they're
things.
not.
Yes.
No, they're not.
Yes.
I just know for
I
me.
dated them. I got married before 2 years, so I'm not gonna do that again. I
Look.
dated them and they had kids, so I'm not gonna do that again. I feel like you're making women pay. I feel like you're making women pay for their
See,
mistakes.
these are the conversations that people don't have. They lie and they say they would deal with it. And I've done those things before. But I know if I know in my heart of hearts, I really don't want little pitter patter of feet running around the house. I don't want that.
Not even a puppy.
No.
You don't want any pitter patter.
I want,
It's
hey.
just you and her. That's
Yeah,
it.
I mean, because I want to be able to just move when it's time to move. If I just want to spontaneously say, "Hey, babe, I just need you to pack your bag. I'm just gonna come pick you up," and we out. I don't need to say, "Well, let me call and see if Big Mama can." Because
that is how. If you have kids, you do have to make arrangements.
Well, let me see if I can rearrange my weekend with the.
You don't want that.
I don't really want that. Because when I was with my ex-wives, we didn't have that issue because I was with the kids all the time.
Okay.
Except for my daughter. My daughter living in Macon, so that was the obstacle. They didn't have the issue with the baby mama drama.
Okay.
Because I just wasn't putting up with that.
Clifton,
But-
she has a 2-year-old. How do you feel?
I'll stand by my first statement.
So you'll be open.
There's I can't put a limitation on a child. I could be the best thing that ever happened to that child.
Could be.
You know,
so sweet.
because I've raised kids. I've raised children that weren't my own, like you. You know, because I realized after the divorce or going through it, you know, I got used. It's okay. No, it's cool. I got used. But that experience, you know, made me fall in love. I have 3 biological sons, right? But I never had a daughter. So she had a daughter and a son. I fell in love with that girl. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that taught me a lot about growing up and raising a daughter. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't give a darn. I mean, I knew her since she was 9 years old, you know, and then when we divorced, she was 11. I mean, I'm 21. So it wasn't for me. I can't put an age stipulation on it because, one, we got to continue to raise our children. And I'm not trying to get this philanthropic, you know, philosophy, but I can't put a stipulation on, you know, your past if I meet you and say, you know, man, you the one, but dag, you know, I'm out. That's no slight, honestly, because everybody has their right? They have their beliefs. I totally respect that. But you know, and it's been a tendency in my family. You know, my father raised children that wasn't his. 8 of his brothers and sisters raised children that weren't theirs. My brother doesn't have biological children and raised 4 that weren't his. So, you know, it may be DNA, it just may be, you know, where you're from or whatever, but, you know, a child is a child, you know what I'm saying? And the influence that I could have and help, you know, I wouldn't give a darn about the other parent. You know, he's going to respect the house. He's going to respect me as a man. And he's going to respect that sister as a woman and the child. And then we can, like this sister keeps saying, the only point I was making earlier, communication is so vital. Proper communication and effective communication, which means talking less and listening more so that you get an understanding together.
I wanted to, just before we get to you, Diane, I'm just reading some of the comments. Okay, so Adrian said, yes, you set the schedule. Cam said, yes, let's travel. She's a retired flight attendant. She said, let's pack a suitcase, not a diaper bag.
Hey, Cam.
Cam is beautiful if you don't know.
Cam.
She's single as well. Adrian says, I know you do. My point is that some men understand that too and will assist with children. Okay, and then Ty says, no toddlers. Veronica Flanagan says, not for me. Kiva Falk says, girl, that's why I don't want to start over. And Adrian says, I've done it, Kiva. That's the difference between just having a mom around as opposed to mom and dad. I like Adrian. Anyway, I don't know what Pam is talking about, but Pam says, yes, you are, Tim. Whatever you said, Tim, I don't remember. This was 2 minutes ago.
Everything was
I don't know.
Okay.
He said it now.
Kiva said, let's see you deal with this 5-year-old. Okay, Marcus says that the guys are lying, that if a girl is fine, they would be with her if she had a kid. Okay,
Lies.
Tim. Okay, I'm just telling you what Marcus said. Kiki said, piece of cake, drop him off. And Kiva said he won't wake up. All right, I'm just reading some of y'all's comments. Okay, Christina OJ said, not sure I understand why the one gentleman feels used. They were together 11 years, and now he feels used. That's you, Clifton.
Yeah, she doesn't know the whole story, and it's, you know, no one needs to be privy to that information.
True.
However, I know what happened and what was needed for this person's career. She was in the public eye. She still is in the public eye.
So she needed a husband.
So she needed to have that in order to get where she was. And so when, you know, my daughter, she's still my daughter, you know.
Yeah, you can't cut that off after 11 years.
Nah, you know, when she was in college, we dropped her off in college. A month later, she was like, yo, I don't want to be married no more. But I can tell you that we didn't sleep. We slept in the same bed for a year and a half.
Without being intimate.
And if I ask her what's wrong, if I touched her, forgive, you know, it's like, oh my God, can't we just, you know, snuggle or whatever? And I'm like, okay,
so
cool.
Wasn't that a red flag that something was
There was
wrong?
plenty of red flags.
Yeah.
I paid for counseling for a year and a half, and I paid, you know, for a lot of things. But, you know, I'm into the scriptures. And so my understanding was, you know, we got to make this work. But I took her at her word when we both said divorce is not an option. hopefully this gives the sister that made that comment some insight, because when we're on the outside looking in and us having been divorced, you said it earlier, you don't know what's going on in someone else's house.
You
And
have
when it's
no
time to
idea.
bounce, it's time to bounce and trust. You know, I could have had a lot from that marriage.
Yeah.
Made a lot of money. She made a lot more money than me, which was one of the reasons why I didn't want to marry her, because I know that those things come into play. And when I did accept the proposal,
Wait, she proposed to you?
absolutely.
Oh, this is a whole nother story going on.
Well,
so she proposed to you. the plot thickens.
It's the first time
Well, I
I've
know
actually
proposal.
met a man
Well,
personally.
I mean, the truth is, I've never proposed to a woman.
Me
So
either.
my
wait,
first one,
both wives proposed.
Right.
What are you laying down over here, Clifford?
Yeah, I didn't either.
you know, that's a
Y'all
whole
better
nother
get to know
show.
Clifton.
That's a whole nother show. But
You were in the military when you get married?
Wait, Clifton, your wives proposed to you as well.
They just kind of wanted to be married.
So they just kind of said, "I do
know.
want to get married. You know, I want to get married. When are we gonna get married?"
I've never proposed, never been on the need not to.
So
do
wait,
that.
so how did the marriage happen?
My first wife, she
Hold
just
that
kept
mic.
Put your mic up.
nagging me, I should say. Yeah, I mean literally.
Like, Tim, when you gonna marry me? Tim, you're not gonna marry me?
Yeah, it was kind of like, you know, I don't think you really want to be with me because you don't want to marry me. So I said, you know what? Okay,
And this is the one with 5 children.
4.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got the same thing.
and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
you know what?
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna.
Biological clock.
Women we can put pressure on you when we want to. Trust.
But I knew
that's
I didn't want.
that's a trait that we
But
have.
I always knew that with her, my first wife, I always knew that cause I was really trying to get away from her. But that's a whole.
Oh
nother story.
Lord, yeah, that's
So
another.
it's-
That's another
yeah,
show.
She must have
So
Yeah.
She must have some roots on you or
That's,
something.
nah, it ain't.
So-
It wasn't that. It's a story for another time.
So Mark Bay wants to know: is it easier dating in your 40s
Definitely.
than it was in your 30s? That's what Mark Bay wants to know. Most of y'all were married through your 30s, so you don't know. Well, you wasn't.
I was
okay.
single.
I was not.
Was it easier?
Was it easier dating? Is it easier dating 40 and up than it was in your 30s?
I think it was easier for me because I don't really think that I was focused on getting married per se.
When you were in your 30s,
Right. I was
Okay.
engaged to one person that I dated long term, but once we, kind of parted ways the second time, we just remained friends, and I wasn't even thinking about getting married. And I was in a relationship with an older lady, and she wanted to get married, but I knew that I didn't want to get
Marry
married
her.
at that time.
Now you've been not married a long time.
Yes.
You seem like the marrying type to me. Like I would just think that
Relationship.
you're a relationship type. Okay.
I
Yeah,
thought-
you do.
I
You
thought
look
that when I
like-
first saw him, I'm like,
You look like you're married. You
You're
have
probably
this.
married.
You
Yeah.
carry
I'm like,
yourself like I'm settled. I'm not running around. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm kind of been there, done that. I used to be in the military, and I
Okay.
lived in
Yeah,
a
you
lot
can
of
see
different
yeah, me too.
places.
Yeah, Germany.
Yeah.
So you're just a relationship type,
Yes.
but you do want to get married.
Yes.
Okay. All right, just checking. And I know that sounded a little judgmental, but I just meant like that's the vibe I get from you. Like,
Yeah, me too.
whatever,
Well,
Jack.
I was single.
What that mean I look like? I don't look like I should be married.
No. No.
We're gonna move on. No,
Right.
My mom said you can't send that nice, don't send that at all.
I didn't say anything. That's why I didn't say anything at all. No, I mean, Jack. I mean, I think you look like a boyfriend to me.
Yeah.
That's not negative.
Not a
either.
husband.
Hey,
That's not negative.
hey, you know what that
Looks
is?
like
You know
a
what that means
boyfriend.
right there.
Oh,
Just
that's
saying.
not what I meant, Jack. I think I think you would make a great
I don't know
husband.
how to take that. I gotta.
I think you would make a great
I
husband.
gotta do some soul searching on that one now.
I think you would make a great
You
husband,
ain't
Jack.
husband material, but you boyfriend material. What?
I think you would be like
Oh,
an
the fun boy or something?
No, I think you would be like an awesome boyfriend. Like you seem like the type of boyfriend that's sending flowers and buying gifts. Like you said,
Hey,
you'd be like,
don't,
why that's not
don't end up
husband
like
type?
he
could be
said.
a
You
husband eventually.
Don't
but
be
you just seem like a
used,
good
bro.
boyfriend.
type.
Okay. Well, you need to get with Art and see what he kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah, exactly. Okay.
What kind of vibe he giving off? Okay, Renee.
So I was single during my 30s because
Okay.
I was. We were separated for 3 years prior to our divorce, and prior to it being final. But So it seems like it was about the same for me. The only difference in dating for me in my 30s versus 40s is my kids aren't small. And it seems like dating then when my kids were small, the guys really didn't. They hear that you have boys, and then my kids were like 8 and 6 or 8 and 5, and they want to just kind of move the other way. They're not really looking to settle down because they think you're looking for somebody to help you raise your children. And I wasn't looking for that. Raise my own kids. So,
is your ex-husband involved in their lives?
No, he was not.
Oh, okay.
He was not.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
And so the difference now is that my children are adults by age. But even still, it seems like it's hard now also because when guys hear that you have boys and they're adults, it's like, okay, well, there's only so much I can do because you've got 2 grown kids and they're still in your life. I mean, they're always in your life, but they still live with me. And you can't run game on a lady who has adult boys.
But you can with adult girls?
Well, I think that they're...
That's a good point. Because I was stuck on what's the difference between you having boys and having girls? Because I think women with girls are a little bit more protective. Like, I know ladies who have daughters and they don't want to date because they don't want men around their girls.
Exactly.
You have to protect your girls.
I have 2 daughters.
Right.
Yeah. I have one at home, and the youngest one is very shapely. And
You have
I
to
just
she get it from her mama.
I just don't want a lot of men around my kids.
Right.
Yeah, that's understandable.
My oldest is 21, and my youngest will be 16.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. And I remember my mom was like, I'm not dating because I don't want anybody around my children. So that happens a lot. Women tend to okay, let me hold off until she's gone to college or something because I don't want to have men. Because there are men who do prey on young girls, and they will marry you to be in the house with you with your child. You have to watch them. You're going to have to go to jail. And I feel like that with my boy too, because you have to be careful these days with little boys too.
Boys.
Yeah. Yes, because some men are dating you to get to your child. You got to be careful.
Right.
So
A real good point. Because I'm sorry, I'll give it back. But I didn't date for a long time when my kids were younger. When I moved to Atlanta, because I was bringing them with me. I brought them with me, and they were with me practically all of the time.
You were a single father?
A single father for a long time, and then moved them back out west, and I was just cautious about who I was going to bring my children around. My kids met 2 women. One of them's a great friend to this day, and the other one I married. That was it. They didn't know their father. Was like, I ain't saying I was the greatest, but you got to earn the right to be around my kids.
No,
and I'm
that's
not
true.
saying you ain't,
That's true.
but that to me. And that's where that communication comes through. I like you a lot. But my kids, that's a whole nother level of life.
Listen, you don't have to preach to the choir because I'm the same way.
You would not meet my family.
I have dated lots of people who never met my child.
You have to be serious before you meet the family.
Trust.
Yeah.
My daughter's only met 3 women in my entire life.
Your daughter?
Yeah, she's only met that was my 2 ex-wives and my ex-girlfriend. That's it. And she's 20. She'll be 22.
Okay.
I don't take people around her.
I have another question, and thank you to Tamara. She's my PR person. She's on it with my questions tonight. So the question is, do you prefer someone who's looking at retirement and settling in, or someone who likes to travel and move about?
Both.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter?
Yeah, both. No.
No preference? So he could be retired or he could be wanting to travel. It's okay either way. All right. And how many prior marriages is too many? Like, is there a red flag if somebody's been married 5 or 6 times?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Diane.
Definitely. I'll stop at 2. Honestly, I will stop at 2. There's a point where you run the risk of, okay, you had a bad first marriage, you had a bad second marriage. However, when you start getting to 3, 4, 5, I gotta start believing that
it's you.
There's
You're the common denominator.
That's right. There's something with you, and kind of going back in terms of whether or not someone had younger children. For me, that would be a deal breaker.
It is a deal breaker.
It is a deal breaker. I'm really not looking for someone who is retired. I mean, I don't think And there are a lot of people that have been in the military. They did 20 years of service, or
Yeah, because you could be 40 and retired.
Exactly. However, the caveat to that is you've retired from a certain profession, but you're doing something else. If all you do all day long is sit at home playing golf, and there's nothing wrong with golf. There's nothing wrong
She's
with
saying
golf.
like you don't have a job to go to.
And the reason, and you know what, and yes, that's my retirement plan too. I'm not there yet, but I am the type. I am the type of person. Yes, please be active. Please know what's going on in the world. Please be able, and even if you don't want to work, and that is your choice, please be able to come to me with some really intelligent, logical conversation. And please do not start texting me all day long. What you doing? I'm working.
Has that been a problem for you? And what age range is that you've experienced?
And I kid you not, this was somebody who was in my age range.
Because in your age range, people can be retired.
And that's true. And that is very true. And I'm not saying that, if that was your plan all along and you're retired, great and wonderful. But please understand that Diane, the only person I can speak of, is out here. I am positive. I love working. I love what I do. And I'm just going to keep doing that. So, if what you want is someone, yes, I can take off anytime I want to and travel. That option I have. However, I'm not sitting at home watching TV.
You bring up a good point. What's your dating range?
You know what? I don't have a range. And the reason why I don't is because I look for the individual.
I look for call coming in.
I look for the content of a person's character. So when I meet you, we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna talk. If there is a connection, I'm hearing things that I like. I don't care how old you are. I really don't.
So if he's 35.
If he's 35 and he steps up and as I said, if I am hearing the things that I want to hear,
you can
and
do it.
Trust me, and I know the difference between game and hearing the things that I want to hear. But if I'm hearing the things that I want to hear, great.
You would date him. Okay.
I will date him. I'll go out. We'll have dinner. We'll go to a show. What have you.
Okay. Clifton, do you have a dating range?
I used to, but like the kids scenario, I typically attract to older women. I like older women. They typically attract to me as well. So I found in my experiences that younger women, it starts out exciting or different, and they're synonymous in this scenario only. But then after a while, the longevity or the sustainability, it kind of leaves. I like James Brown, and you like, Drake. So I mean, it's no slight on them. It's not their fault. But they're gonna be, Drake's probably cool, but I like OJs, and you don't know who any of them are. But no, funny. I don't have a limitation. My preference is typically someone older, because
so 50s and up.
Yeah, my age and up. Mm-hmm. And if I go back, it's probably 5 to 7 years back. I haven't dated anyone.
So, ladies, if you're my age, Clifton is not interested.
He didn't say that.
Unless you want to have kids.
Yeah. Because truthfully, somebody in their 50s is not likely to want a child.
But again, for me, if I like you, we talk. Communication is important, and I start to feel for you, and you feel for me. I cannot deny you what you want. If you want a child, and we want to be together, then we decide that we want children. I can't deny you of that.
I got a question for you.
Oh, Lord.
No, seriously. Do you start off, because in the beginning of the relationship or the courtship, because most people don't do that no more.
That's another topic. We will be talking about courtship.
In the beginning of the courtship, and she tells she wants kids, do you move forward knowing that, or do you not?
Why not? Because that's part of the conversation, right? One of the things that we talked about earlier was people don't talk. I respect the person that comes to me. It's kind of scary when a woman comes at you, right? All of us said that earlier. Like, she says, yo, this is what I want. I want kids. I want a house. I want blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh. But for me, I welcome that. You know why? Because she's giving me an opportunity, one, to be educated, to make an educated decision or choice about whether I want to continue it or not. And it's happened both ways, So, like I said, I married, a woman with children. So it wasn't a problem. And they were young, when I met her and we married. And I've met women that said that they did not want children. And I was younger because they were older women, because they said, hey, I've been there and I've done that. That's not going to stop me from saying, you know what, our lives potentially could be the best lives we've ever had. How smooth was that?
I want to comment. Ayana King.
Look like an audition to me.
Ayana King chimed in on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Ayana King chimed in on Facebook and she says, hell no. As a woman, it's harder to date in my 40s because men my age want younger women. And that is that's a problem too sometimes.
I can tell you why.
And you're 47?
I'm 47.
Okay.
I have a friend of mine, he will not date anyone in our age range. He just will not. And I was asked why. He was like, because they're settled. They don't want to bend. They don't want to compromise. And they want what they want. So, and I'm not saying
it does go both ways. Because I know some stoogey old men, girl. They're not going.
And I'm not saying that. I'm not. I know that's not all women.
But I think that can come with age too. And if you've been single a long time, regardless of gender, if you've been single, I've been single 20 years, and I'm used to my space. I don't really want you coming in trying to change anything. And that can happen either way.
Yeah, because he's been divorced for like 16, 17 years.
Yeah, so he's settled in being.
He's not trying to all of that right there.
This is very true, and that goes both ways too. Men and women, younger minds are moldable. I know a lot of older women who prefer younger men, and yes, you can mold them, of course. A lot of cougars. What do you call men who like the younger women? They don't have a name. The women.
Yes, you do. Sugar daddies.
Okay, that's another thing. If you like younger women, does that mean you expected to come out of your pocket? You like younger women. How is that? Have you experienced that?
Only once, and that was probably last year.
Okay.
And it's just somebody who's looking for a traditional type relationship. I never wore those shoes before.
A traditional type relationship.
Yeah, she wanted to be courted in a traditional manner.
Explode.
Yeah.
One about to explode.
So I never stepped in those shoes before, but I liked her, so I said, well, I'll give it a try just to kind of.
When you say so is it like, can you catch my light bill this month? Can you pay my rent?
We didn't. That was probably something that would have, later on, but I think when we got to the, because we started out pretty heavy, pretty fast.
You had sex early.
Well, I wouldn't say too early, but when I met her, I was really attracted
to her.
Yeah,
and she's younger.
She's a few years younger.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of locked her down pretty quickly because I saw the military.
You're gonna be my woman. Let's go.
So I saw the potential there, and I really liked her. And so it was after we started spending more time and discussing different things, talked about our a potential marriage and how things would look, and then we started talking about traveling together, and that's when she really got my attention because because we go out, I put the bill, didn't have any problems doing that, and because it was something that she said to her stepdad is how he treated her mom, and so she wanted to be dated in that same manner. So I gave it a try, but once we started talking about traveling together and all this, and so I said, well, how does this traveling thing, look, from a financial standpoint? It's like, well, you'll go, we'll go, you'll take care of the flights, you'll take care of the accommodations, you'll take care of
everything.
I said, well, so what are you gonna?
I'm gonna look cute. I bought some Victoria's Secret.
That's called being a sponsor.
And,
a sponsor. Exactly.
So my presence, and I'll pay for maybe a meal here and there. it's like, this is not going to work out. So,
Yeah.
So shortly after that, things just kind of.
Have you experienced it? Because that can happen with younger men too, where they would want a sugar mama. That can happen.
I do not prefer younger men. I think my delta is about 5-7 years either way. And I know some guys on the site have experienced it. I can't do the 31, 30. A couple of things is that even though you say young women want that, older women, I don't consider myself older. I consider myself seasoned. And I know I'm seasoned, and I know what I want in either direction, especially in this area. Sexual, I know what I want in the sexual area. I know what I want in the financial area. So when you come in at me, you got to already come with those things. And I'm just watching you. I'm really just watching you audition for me, because that's basically what it is. You audition for me, and I'll let you know if you win. I mean, why women can't have the same thing? I feel like some of my thinking is more like a man in a lot of areas, and for the few people who know the true me, they know I probably think more in the area of men. But when you're getting to know me, you'll think I'm truly just a dainty woman, but it's just not the truth.
Really? Because you come across very feminine to me as well.
Oh yeah.
So
but when you get to know me, I'm quite different.
You brought up a good point, because most men I know have a story of an older woman who turned them out sexually, and we're not going to get into details, but I just know a lot of men who say, oh man, I was 21, I met this woman, she was 40, and oh my gosh, she taught me everything I know. I've heard that story over and over again.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I would rather turn a guy out that's my age or somewhere in that delta that I told you. He doesn't have to be in his 20s for me to turn him out.
Okay.
Because I just don't want you trying to, I can't do that.
Right.
It's just too many things. I got a 21-year-old.
Got it.
So if you're coming in the house 21, I'm thinking, does she think you're cute? I can't really
Oh, right.
go there.
That's true.
Right.
And for you, have you experienced that with younger men, where they would want you to pay for things, or?
Actually, I haven't.
You haven't?
I have not experienced that. I will tell you that.
But the thing is, Diane, if I'm a younger man, and not to put your business out there, but you have a nice car, you live in a nice area, I can observe that you're probably doing well, right? So if I'm 30 and 35, and you said you would date a 35-year-old, I can see this coming into the relationship. I already know.
And it's interesting, because when I have conversations with people, in being a visual designer, I'm kind of coming into the realm with a different perspective. I look for things that sometimes other people miss. So I can pretty much, and I'm originally from New York, I can see you coming a mile away. And I don't want to, take any, liberties. And as I said, I'll let you come, and I'll listen to your audition, and then I will draw a conclusion from that. It's interesting that we were on this topic, because I very recently went out with a gentleman who was older than me.
Really?
Yes.
How old was he?
Again, he was early 60s.
Okay.
And again, professional, and we kept missing each other. So I invited him out for drinks, and we go out, we have a good time. And this was a new restaurant for me that I had not been to. I'd heard a lot of great reviews. Long story short, I had ordered a couple of different plates of tapas. I couldn't eat everything, and I told the waiter, please, wrap it up. And the comment that this gentleman made was, oh, her eyes were bigger than her stomach. Oh. Okay, guess what? You just blew it.
Right.
And he blew it and didn't even realize it. And when the check came, I grabbed the check, paid for it, and that was it.
Do you think it was more because you can afford your own, and you felt like,
and
so
you
he
know
was probably used to
something?
dating girls who couldn't afford that?
And you know what? And that
I probably would have laughed it off too.
And that might be the case. Yeah. But I just felt like, what, do you think I was out here waiting for you to pay for my meal? That's not where, and I can only speak for myself. That's not where I'm coming from.
Sure.
Okay? I don't need you to pay my rent. I don't need you to pay my car payment.
Although you can.
Oh, and you know what?
You sound like you would be receptive to somebody.
But the thing is,
I can pay my own rent. I've
Right.
my own mortgage. I've been paying it. But when it comes to what you have, I think it's best not to reveal that.
Right.
So when
I
we're
agree.
dating,
Okay.
what does it matter where I live, what I'm driving?
And-
you get to
and
know
I-
none of that unless you.
He's gonna see what you're driving.
Well,
if
he's
you,
gonna. Well, I
Yeah.
try to.
Uber.
Yeah. Well, he's going to see what you're driving, but you could also switch it up. You can drive something different. You can drive your kid's car. You can drive something different. But you never.
But also, men don't care typically
Yeah,
what you
they
drive.
not
They
in
don't
a
care.
car.
But
They
women
don't.
can. Men.
They don't.
Right.
And again,
Well, a lot of us have nasty cars. Jack is crazy. But a lot of men, that is not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true, Jack. No, that's not true. But I will tell you this.
You know,
A lot of men get women that way. They'll say, "Well, let me clean your car. Let me detail your car." That's how men move in.
can
A lot.
do it.
That's what they
Clean
do. I know that mine did. He did detail my car. That worked for me.
That's when it look. That's when it looked like it been dirty for like a week or two or something. But it looked like you ain't cleaned that car in like 6 months when you got old
that's ridiculous.
old sandwiches on the floor. And
Oh, that's a little bit much. That's a little bit much.
I think,
So-
I think that honestly, and we were talking earlier about, being upfront and having that communication. So if someone is going to step to me, yes, you're going to see what kind of car I drive. If you're in my neighborhood, you're going to know that I'm living in that neighborhood. That's it. So if you make any sort of assumption, guess what? It's on you. If you're going to come at me, and I'm perfectly upfront. I tell people what I do, and the kind of person I am. And I think that sometimes I put men off. I do. Because I'm letting you know that I've heard that before.
You're not intimidated.
I'm letting you know that I am 150%. So if I'm talking to you, there is a genuine interest in you.
Yes.
Not
So
what
I
you.
have a-
Not.
I'm still asking.
Yes.
Wait, hold on. I'm still asking this question.
Okay.
To you now, Clifton. Have you ever dated a woman who was interested in you and you saw that it was more financial, like she wanted you to pay for bills or get her hair done, anything like that?
Often.
Often?
In my single years, when and I don't date a lot. I don't want to put that out there. I'm pretty particular about my body, my spirit,
should be.
and my presence with anyone. Because what I do. I teach. My example is I teach. And so, I don't want to give off any false indicators that I'm a hypocrite by anything that I do and say. My approach is different. If you say you need help, we've established enough rapport to where I can say, I will help you, or this is what I'm able to do, or what I'm not able to do. My priority is my kids. They've always been. If anybody's seen my Facebook page, that's just how I am. But I love my friends, and I have 3 people that I consider friends. But I met this brother. He showed himself to be friendly to me, months ago. So I consider him a friend. So if I'm dating, if I met you and you come at me a week or so later, you know what? Life happens. You know what I'm saying? But if it becomes the expectation and then the norm, then no. But what I will say is I'm not afraid to say no. And I think that's where people get themselves in trouble. Sex complicates things a lot of times. And so a lot of times people feel obligated because they've been together intimately. And, the adages come up where, well, I gave you this or I gave you that. When we don't value.
You say gave you as in sexual?
Right. I gave you my body.
So can you pay my light bill?
Right. When in fact, men, I think, and I'll speak from this perspective, should value themselves as much
because
as women.
You gave yourself.
You
just
gave
like
yourself
I gave
as
myself.
well. It
Yes.
is an equal thing. So in my experiences, if I see, look, I'm taking people at face value. I've been called naive a lot. I've been taken advantage of before a lot. It's probably going to happen again. I don't mind that. It's okay. But once a sucker, twice a fool. So I'm not getting ready to, have it continue. And so then if you've got a problem, you need me, let's go find you some help. If you can't, how are you living that you can't sustain where you are? And if that's the type of lifestyle, like the sister said, a lot of times brothers can see it coming. Sisters can see it coming too. So, if this dude came up to you and, I want to clean your car every Saturday, he'd probably after something. You know what I'm saying? Not that bad example. I'm sorry. But if the brother says something consistently that may not be congruent with the way that you
or she said, I want to
does.
cook for you. You know,
Well, I need to meet her.
there are a lot of women like that, ladies. If you like to
Where
cook,
y'all
let
at?
Clifton know.
I'm sorry.
But so I wanted to ask you, Tim, have you ran? Because this happens. I'm asking this question because sometimes when you date younger, or I guess it can happen to your point anyway. But there are a lot of people who they're dating you for gain for themselves. So I'm dating you because I want you to take care of me, and you could be a sugar mama or a sugar daddy. And then yes, that can go across any age. But I've seen it happen a lot with younger women because they can absolutely date younger men. And a lot of times if they target older men, I found that can be the case. A lot of times I'm dating this older man because he's settled and he has money. Because it's not sexual. It's not because he looks like an Adonis. It's not. This is. I'm just being honest.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't know because a lot of the younger women under 40 that I've met, it's like the guys their age or in their dating pool. They don't really have, well, not only money, but they don't really know how to date them. They don't really have any experiences to share other than going out to dinner or going to the movie. There's a lot of other things to do, and they become bored with that. And so when they meet someone that's older, who has some experience that can show them a few things, I think they value that as well. It's not just the financial gain, because I don't have anything to give them when it comes to that financial piece.
Can't do nothing for you.
Well, and to be fair, like women around my age are typically, most women I know are doing very well. My circle is doing very well. So I wasn't meaning like my counterparts, but more like younger ladies, like 20-somethings, early 30s. Sometimes they're not doing well yet, and this is an opportunity. Exactly. And this is an opportunity for me to leverage, and so maybe not in your situation, but I'm just asking because it does happen. Tim, have you experienced it?
I mean, I've met them, but they get deuces.
I knew he was gonna say
Yeah, I don't.
Nonsense with that.
Yeah, because I don't. I mean, I've met and dated younger women, but the ones that I did, it wasn't like that because they know I wasn't leading like that. I know a lot of men
lead with their money. Yes, they do. They lead with their money.
So they think that everybody does that.
Yes,
so
they do.
So when they come across me, I'm not.
Art says.
I don't even buy women drinks if I'm out in the club or something. I don't buy women.
There
drinks
are a lot of men. Speaking of, who lead with their money, and they're popping bottles and what you want? Oh, here, take this, go get your hair done, and they lead like that. So they should not be surprised when she says, "Can you pay this bill?" Because that's what you led with. You've shown me that's what you're able to do.
But you know what's unfair is that women who don't ask for anything get nothing. So if you're not saying, "Hey, can you pay my light bill? Can you do my nails?" Then you get nothing. You just keep on. No, this is my experience. So if you can do it for yourself, you just continue doing it for yourself. But I'm saying, wait, you're enjoying my hair. You're enjoying everything that you like. And I'm doing these things for myself. So I really would appreciate a guy stepping up saying, hey, here you go get your hair done. Or
every
whatever.
now and then it's a sweet
every
gesture.
Now and again.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm the type of woman and I ask for nothing, but I expect everything.
Oh, that's interesting. The thing is, to your point, Wanda, women like you and like these women here, everybody's professional, successful. You're not asking because you need it, or you're not expecting it because you need it. You're expecting it because it's a sign of affection to you. Just baby, you look good. Go to the spa. Just a gift. Go take yourself. Go with your girlfriends. Go out to dinner. It's just a thought, right? It's not because I'm starving and I don't have any money. It's because
It's funny you would say that because and I didn't forget my question for you. That dinner, I got to find out.
But you can always ask her out after we finish the show.
All right, ladies, post.
I
Which one of y'all would cook for Cliff?
Clifton wants somebody to cook for him.
But
he's not.
My statement is, I've always been that guy, right? It doesn't have to be a Friday payday for me to buy you flowers. I kept our house full of flowers, and I kept them up. I was a cook. When I married, my second wife, we had 2,800 square foot house, right? And she had a maid going on. We had a house built. I was like, what are you doing? There's 4 grown people in here. These are young people that need to know how to clean, right? And do for themselves. Now, mind you, I'm a sucker. I was cleaning my kids' room every single day. But you know what? Because I can't stand filth. You know what I'm saying? But
Are you
know,
OCD?
I'm not, but I like tidiness.
Very clean.
Order is very important, right? And I'm not, leave a dish in there. That's cool, right? It doesn't matter. But I didn't mind getting up, cutting the grass on a Saturday, or doing whatever it was that we needed to do.
Why are you still single? Let's talk about that. No,
Hey, that was another Facebook question.
That's another topic.
But my point being, you know, when you look at the things that I did, I was buying the flowers. I was, sticking the teddy bears in the car. I was delivering the fruit to the job, by the guy was like, did this come from you? Like, did you really have to ask me that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course. It wasn't appreciated, right? And again, this person was making close to, $300,000. I was making 42. You know where I worked.
I know.
And I was working 2 jobs and paying half the mortgage and all the other stuff.
Yes.
But the thing is, the point kind of hit home for me because you're like, the ones that don't get anything. But there are a lot of things that, I sacrificed that I never speak about. You know what I'm saying? That I did. She never knew when I was down to my last dollar ever. Right? But I still filled up her car. You know what I mean? So that she could get to where she's going. But if I asked for a ride, like, yo, follow me there. She's like, well, where you got to go that you might as well just stay. So a lot of times just because men from a pride perspective and then a male masculine perspective will not say a lot of things for the point that women a lot of times will say, you should have already known. And then the converse of that is you guys should probably have already known.
Right.
Very good point. I want just before you jump in, Tim, I'm just going to read some of the comments. Wanda, everybody agreed with you. These ladies was like, yes, Wanda, she's right. Exactly, Wanda. Spoil me a little bit. Yes, Wanda. So they like the comment you made that you don't need them to do these things for you, but you would like it. Yes. Women are agreeing that they would as well. Now, Shamanda just brought up a good point. She said nobody wants to discuss dating or marrying a woman with kids because it's a ready-made family. But brothers, y'all said you wouldn't mind that.
I did.
You did. You've done it twice.
Yeah.
You don't mind if she already has. You've done. So these men, Shamanda, you might want to reach out to them. They don't have a problem with it. Cassandra Nelson said, Clifton, she said she will cook for you, Clifton. Yvette Murray said, I just love every man. Every man was the perfect husband, but they're divorced. She's a little skeptical that y'all were the perfect husband.
No one said it was perfect.
She said you can say the same thing for divorced women. Yeah. I think that's a good point because when you get divorced, there's typically both people who have to own some part.
Well, I owned all. The thing with me, I never discuss what I feel that they might have done. I only atone for what I did. And that's period. I've never had a conversation with a woman say, well, my ex-wife did this or that. It's always, I did this, so that's what I'm working on so that I don't make that mistake again. So that's I don't know about anybody else because I understand that because I don't like being in conversations with women and they're talking about the ex-boyfriend and he did this and okay.
But let me say that's my pet peeve with singles in general. Whenever I ask what happened in your last relationship, it's always what she did, what he did, and very rarely do you hear, "I messed up, I wasn't ready, I needed to mature." Whatever the situation was, it's always what the other person did, and it takes two to tango.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can't move forward anyway if you don't ever atone for what you did.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's a lot of people that I think are stuck in that situation where they're still upset at what the
we have a call coming in.
To them.
We actually, y'all, we have been talking for 2 hours straight. We haven't taken any breaks or anything. Yes, we have a call coming in. So let's see what's going on.
That's right.
All right, caller, you're on Conversations with Cupid. Who do we have here?
Hey, this is Adrian.
Hey, Adrian. How are you?
I'm great. How are y'all doing?
Good. What's your comment?
Good. Hey, Wanda. How you doing?
Uh-oh.
There you go. Go ahead, Adrian. Shoot your shot.
Oh, just saying, hey, what's up? Like that yellow on you. Okay, so check this out.
What'd you say?
I have a question and a point to make regarding women with children, right, and being older. So I've dated many women that have children, especially in my age group. And what I'm
You're
noticing
40,
is,
Adrian,
as far
you're
as
40?
women who are older or over the age of 40 who don't want kids, is that they seem to be focused on the fact of how hard it will be to raise the kids as they get older, right? But I'm wondering, is it because that they've raised their kids as single parents, and so they're not really thinking about it as far as raising it as a unit, or are they thinking about it as far as raising kids, period?
That's a very good question. All right, so I think he wants Wanda. Let's start with you to answer the question.
Well, here's the thing, though. Well, to be honest, I already know her answer. I'm just curious to see what the panel thinks.
Okay, excuse me. I stand corrected.
Hey, man,
all right,
you just blew your cover.
So let's go, Diane and Renee.
Blowing your cover like that, bro.
Well, you said you're open to having children, so Diane.
Oh, I'm not worried about that. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, the question that Adrian is posing, and ladies also in Facebook land, you can answer as well, because I don't know that these ladies have that particular issue or concern. But his question is, if older women are saying they don't want children anymore, is it because you're worried about having to raise them alone versus thinking about how it would be raising them together? Because he's willing to partner with you. Are you thinking about the unit?
Yeah, because that makes a big difference.
Diane?
I think that, and it can go in both directions. If a woman is, in her early 40s, and now, a gentleman is coming into her life and saying, hey, I want a child, you're looking at that child, those first 6 years when they're toddlers. Yeah, okay, now I'm 46 or 48, and I've got this toddler, and now I've got to get that toddler into school. And yes, there is that little twinge in the back of their head. Oh my God, if this does not work out, I'm going to be raising this child by myself, to his point. A lot of women who are in their early 40s, you know what? They're really, I don't want to say they're settled in their career, but they're usually at a point that they've made some significant strides. They're, managers, vice presidents, and they can't bring themselves to say, oh, hey, I can't be in today because my kid has a cold.
Right.
And I don't care what they say about, parental time and all the rest of that stuff. Corporations still look at their senior managers
and expect them to be there.
Yeah, they expect them to be there.
Well, I hate to cut y'all off, but we have 5 minutes left on the show. So, Adrian, I'll ask the ladies on Facebook to answer your question. Ladies, please respond on my post in reference to Adrian's question. If you are saying you don't want children, is it because you're looking at it from being a single parent versus looking at it from a couple? Thank you, Adrian, for calling in. We have 5 minutes, y'all, so I have to wrap up the show. I want to thank you all for being so lively and engaging, and nobody was shy, and you being very honest on the show. The name of the show was Dating Over 40, and we hope that our listeners we were able to glean some information about dating over 40. These are awesome, beautiful singles here. They're all over 40, and so if you're looking, you want to definitely look them up. I think you all are beautiful, and you bring great value to.
Thank you so much.
You would be an asset to anyone that you were in a relationship with. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to say that dating can be a challenge no matter how old you are, whether you're in your 30s or you're in your 40s. But I would advise you all to just keep an open mind, because I definitely believe there's someone for everyone. And no matter how old you are, you can find the one. That will be the conclusion of our show, Conversations with Cupid. Join us next Thursday from 6 to 8 on InstinctRadio.net. Thank you.
After show at No Mas.
Get ready to be motivated.
Oh, he wants to go to No Mas.
Conversations. Host Shay Primus on InstinctRadio.net.
If you would like to advertise your business on Conversations with Cupid, airing every Thursday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Instinct Radio, email us at shay@middleclassmatchmaker.com. That's shay@middleclassmatchmaker.com.